are going to get started. It's going to be, some of it's going to be familiar to you, some of it you'll recognize from the previous quarterly reporting webinars that we've done, but for the most, or some of it will be a review, but I guess the one thing that if I can say is, although you all used the OJJDP last time to report, some of the, most of you had not started a match, and so most of you marked that you had not done any work regarding the grant. So since you have, in this second half of the year, the reporting will look a little different. That's kind of the big message of today. We're going to try to go over that as smoothly as possible. So we'll go over the Catholic Charities USA programmatic requirements. Some of those have changed, so we'll go over that since the last time we did them. We'll go over the OJJDP programmatic requirements and go over the steps in order to, fill that out. And we'll talk a little bit more about implementing the DAP. We'll talk about subrecipient monitoring, the work that I do, just as a reminder. We'll talk about promoting and funding. We have one foundation that, although we haven't completely vetted, so Catholic Charities USA may not continue to apply for it quite yet. Just wanted to let you know that there's one on the horizon, hopefully. So, as I said, the objectives are to make sure that everybody understands from a programmatic standpoint what's required both from Catholic Charities USA and to prepare folks to use the OJJDP website. Here are the updated deadlines for 2014. These are actually all the second Fridays of the month, coincidentally, so that's kind of why the dates are different in April and July, but just wanted to give you all a heads up about that. Yes. Is anybody? Can other people see the screen? Okay. Then yes, I would say you cannot. I cannot see it. Strange. Okay. Well, I sent out the email, so you can follow along in the PowerPoint slide. Right now, we are at Catholic Charities timeframes, that slide. If you think it's just technically related, then you can leave the webinar and then re-click on that link and then try to join back again. Yep. Okay. So the next slide that we're on talks about the CCUSA programmatic requirements. And what we're going to do is just go over the new format. We modified it during Q4. And so if everybody has, those who are at a computer that have access to your files, I really wanted to just make sure that everything is aligned. So if you can open up your Q4 program report that you sent to me, we're going to actually just go through it line by line, row by row, and make sure that everything's lined up so that I don't have to go through 41 reports to make sure the formatting is correct.
So is this a form, are we going to use this form for the current reporting period?
So this form is used each quarter for Catholic Charities USA. The contents that are asked from you from the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, you should be able to answer pretty much all of their questions directly from this form itself. There are a few extra questions that they ask, but for the most part, everything that you put on this, you can just take and put it back into the OJJDP form online.
This is not form that we send you will not change. This is just for reporting to OJDP.
So this form that you send me, I use both the content and the numbers in the narrative portion that I write as a summary to all the reports that you submit. The answers or the content that you put in this particular report, you can just also reference this report when filling out the OJJDP online form. So there was modifications made from quarter 3 to quarter 4, and so we're going to go over those modifications. And then there's 2 lines that I've added for quarter 4 to quarter 5, and so we're going to just go over that quickly as well.
Are you going to send us the revised template?
There are instructions in this presentation about how to modify the report. Okay.
One more question.
Yeah, please. Nope.
Okay, if we made the correction to the report previously,
Yes.
then all that's left to do is to correct the 2 lines that you just referred to just now, correct?
Yeah, but I want to make sure that everybody, when they made their first corrections, were actually aligned. And so that's what we're going to do in bullet 2 right here. You'll see sections ending at rows 15, 27, 41. So when I say sections, I mean that there's like a break in the report.
Yeah, I have to be honest, Matt. I'm going to listen and follow along very carefully, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pull my own report up on my computer and go back and forth and run it. It's complex. I'm sorry.
No, listen. I'm sorry. That's a misunderstanding. I don't want you to do it right now. I just want you to look at it so that when you look at these instructions later, that they're not foreign.
Okay, I thought you wanted us to actually get our reports up and make it do this right now.
Well, I would like you to have your reports up so you can just understand what I'm referencing in the webinar.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
So you'll notice that there are section breaks throughout this report. Right now, there's one in 16. There's one at 29. There's one at 43. There's one at 49. There's one at 71. There's one at 83. And there's one at 103. Now, the reason why those numbers don't align to these here is because I've added those 2 rows already. So focus on these numbers here. Does that make sense to folks? No.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I see it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. If your report does not match this, send me an email and then I will send you the corrected version. Because what I did was last quarter, I modified all the reports that did not align and then made them so that they would align so that when I compiled all the data, then that they would all add up. So what I'm asking of you is that if you look at your report and your sections don't end at these rows 15, 27, 41, 47, 69, 81, and 101, just send me an email. It's not a problem. I will send you your quarter 4 report back because I modified the format of it to align with all the other ones. And then what we'll do, what I'm asking you to do, is to add these 2 rows. Add how many referrals have been made due to the case management, and you can include the family members that have received referrals. And that's going to go right here in row 6. Correct.
line 16.
There will not be a line. There will be a line 16, but it will not have this information in it.
So line 16 information.
And then you will also add line 29, which is what were the outcomes of the referrals. The idea behind all of this is because one of the things that stands out of our program from other programs is the fact that there is a level of case management. And so we want to be able to capture what the case management has done and how much of it we have done. So we're not just saying that we do it, but we can also paint a picture of why it's important and how people have benefited from it. And I encourage you to be as liberal as possible as far as your count for referrals. So if there are 3 people that are benefiting from the referral, I want you to give the number 3. Basically, this should be captured in your case notes anyhow, so it should be relatively easy just to add all of those numbers up and just put it in this report once a quarter. If it's if there's any problems, please let me know. Don't stress over it, but hopefully this slide is clear for folks. Any questions? If you have questions in the future, do not hesitate to ask me.
Can you just clarify specific referrals that you need? Maybe just you referred to an outside therapy or something?
That would be one example, but internal services should count as well.
Okay.
Basically, think of yourself more as a mentoring organization as opposed to a Catholic Charities agency. So again, trying to differentiate our program from other programs who might not make referrals at all. So I think, Janine, that was your voice. So any referrals down to, the clothing would count.
So you guys usually help them with supplies, that kind of thing?
Supplies, yes, as well. I guess if it's a program that's outside of your own, then count it. If you giving supplies as part of your mentoring program, then I would say don't count it. But if it's a part of a different program that's housed in your Catholic Charities agency, then yes, count it. Okay. The next thing that we have is the OJJDP programmatic reporting. So what I tried to do was I logged on as, I think, Wilmington, or as far as Ministry of Caring. So Sister Connie, your form is going to look a little different, and I'm happy to walk you through it. So you'll log on to the same website, www.ojjdp-dctat.org. You'll use the login information that was provided back in March or April. If you need that, please send me an email. I'm happy to provide that to you. The first thing you'll see when you log in is a drop down of the reporting periods. The July 2013 to December 13 should be populated, so you can just click on go The next screen that you'll see is a screen that contains a red button that says continue reporting, and it should next to it say the 2 letters of your state and your city, if I'm not mistaken. And you can click on continue reporting. The first 14 or so questions will almost be completely filled out for you. So review questions 1 through 4. Make sure that information is correct. If it's not, modify it so that it is correct. The first question that you'll need to answer, it should be in red, will be to question number 5. And it will ask if there was any programmatic activity that took place during this reporting period. We're going to say yes to that. And then question number 6 is the not the drop down, but the opportunity to select the districts in which the program is running or where the services were provided. And so you can select as many districts as are appropriate. And then question 7 through 14, all of that information should be pre-populated for you as well. If any of that information is not accurate, please let me know. That information that information is related to the model that we're using, and so it should have carried over from the information that you put in during the first report. I may have modified it to be consistent across the programs, so if it's not accurate, please let me know. The last part of that page is completing the targeted population. So fill out the demographic information that pertains to the mentees that are receiving services. Once you've done all that, then you can click Save at the bottom of the page. I think that the next step after that is clicking on a rectangular button on the new page that says Select Measures. And so the measures are the categories under question 3 in the outcomes that we've talked about before, relating to antisocial behavior, gang resistance, substance use, school attendance, and GPA. Whichever items you're measuring or trying to make an impact on in your program, select as many are as applicable. If you are tracking any of the non-mandatory measures, such as victimization or re-victimization, you can select those too. This page basically is asking you to help them fill out the next page, which is the form that you'll input all of the information on. So these are just check boxes in this page. After you click Save on that, then it will prompt you for another page that goes through the data that should correspond to the programmatic questions that are asked of us in the CCUSA programmatic file. It'll go pretty much in order from row 33 on down. So it'll ask you to fill all of this information in. So you can just take those numbers and enter them into the online form. Just make sure to read carefully and make sure the fields align. when you get to what will eventually be row 81 on your program report, you'll have these MOU questions. Those won't be asked. I'm pretty sure those are not asked by OJJDP. I think I have to compile those on my own. So if you have any MOUs, please send them to me related to this program, the new one specifically. And then the report form here continues with the optional categories. So if you're tracking any of this information and reporting any of this information, then that information as well can be input into the online report. Review all the contents of the report, and then there is a button at the top that says Submit Data to Grantor, and then send an email to me notifying that the data has been submitted so that I can go in and check to make sure everything's okay. If you aren't sure, you can either send it, we can always fix it later before I do the final submission, so don't stress, just send me an email if you feel like there's something that needs to be changed. I think the date that I will most likely submit it will be in late January, probably around the 28th or 29th if I had to guess. If you find errors after that, I don't know, just don't. Any questions on that?
Matthew?
Yes.
Yeah, one question. What is the deadline? Because I know you said that it was the 28th or the 29th for the JJPD where you're going to be finalizing. When is the actual deadline for us?
Sure. So your deadline is January 10th.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was just wondering if the quarterly reports were the same as the OJJPD or there's two different deadlines.
Good question. So they're both due the 10th of January. I'm sorry. The one thing that I forgot to mention is that the OJJDP report is semi-annual as opposed to quarterly. So you'll have to add the numbers from the quarter 4 report to the quarter 5 report. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier.
Thank you. Matthew, did you say that we do have, you did send us the login information, or username and password, or do we create that?
That was sent to you. I can send it to you again. Just send me an email if you need that information, if you don't have it available. Okay. Any other questions about OJJDP reporting or CCUSA reporting? Okay. Developmental asset profile. So had a lot of conversations with a lot of people over the last 3 to 6 months about the implementation of the DAP and whether we want to do it 2 times or 3 times. It was decided that most folks saw an advantage to having both a midway point as well as the final DAP implementation as well. I know that for a lot of people that will be difficult to do and time consuming, and I apologize. But for those matches that are going to be longer than 12 months, we're going to ask for 3 implementations. If the match is only 12 months, then you only need to do a preliminary and then a final match. So we're going to go over the details of that right now. A lot of folks have gone above and beyond what has been required with the DAP information. So people have requested the information, they've shared it with staff, they've shared it with the mentors. Some have even gone as far and used the results of that first DAP to set up the service plan and have included the informing the mentee and having the mentee involved in getting a greater understanding of the assets and how they impact the lives of the youth. So kudos to those folks. So I just included that here. It's not mandatory, but if it's appropriate for your target youth, then I would encourage you to use the DAP results to create the service plan. Continue to reference the assets throughout the match, and choose asset building type activities that correspond with the ultimate goals laid out in the service plan. The DAP will then be again administered 12 months later, and if the match lasts longer than 12 months, there will be post-mentoring DAP implementation. Basically what that means is you'll have to have a conversation with the mentor and mentee and decide whether the match is going to be continued past the 12 months. Remember, the goal of our program is to be 24 months, but at least 12 months is the minimum. So asking them or your supervisor or having that conversation as to whether your program will support the match past 12 months. And if that does take place, then administering one DAP at that 12-month mark, as well as when the relationship or when the match ends up closing. As a reminder, here's the information about implementing it for the first time. The goal is to have the DAP implemented between the initial match and the third meeting, having it administered with the mentor or staff so that there is a built around, so if there are questions, if there are issues, they can support the youth. There is flexible administration. We have the version in paper. You can do it in Spanish. You can use an interpreter. So there are lots of options available there. This is the link to the first app. So I'm not going to go over the naming convention, but if you have not done it and you're not sure what that means, please send me an email and I will send you those slides. After you've submitted the DAP or the DAP has been taken, please let me know so that I can send you the results back and you can use them in your service plan. And then depending upon the goals of your program and what's appropriate, sharing it with the mentor and the mentee. As a reminder, these are how it's been recommended that we share that information. So if the assets in certain categories fall between 0 and 15, they're challenged. 16 through 20, they're vulnerable. And so those are the language, that's the language that we're using when passing it along. We're not giving the specific numbers. There was a story or two where staff had looked at the entire results of the DAP and started to see if there were any patterns or trends in the area. I thought that was very interesting, and I thought that I would share that with you. They looked to see, I think it was community specific. They looked at the questionnaire and noticed that there were deficiencies in the feelings that the youth had towards their community as being engaged or being supported by. So I think some of their group activities targeted the deficiency in those assets. So I wanted to share that because I thought that was a very innovative way of using the DAP. Continue to reference the assets throughout the match. Like I said, using it to create the service plan. designing activities, articulating to the youth how assets impact their lives, and then ultimately giving examples of how the mentors and their assets are used in their specific life. Yes. Any questions? Yes. I can, yes.
Hi, this is Laura about the Dice Construction in California. Out of curiosity, why are we not able to share with our mentors the results of the gap?
You can share the results. I think that the numbers are. I don't know specifically why the Search Institute had general framework for the numbers and interpretation of the numbers with words as opposed to numbers. I guess maybe to give it a little bit of context. I guess if you ultimately would like to have the mentors that involved, it's up to you. But it was their recommendation to convert those numbers into words and then share it in that way.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Matt, Tim in Albuquerque.
Hey, Tim.
I have a quick question for you. Maybe I've missed it, but when you were going over the gap thing before the third meeting, that part, and then, of course, 12 months. Didn't we decide we were going to do one in the middle somewhere?
Yeah.
Missed that?
I'm getting that right now. That's on the slide right here.
Okay, sorry.
No. Yeah, that's good. So it was decided, like I said, that we're going to do, for those matches that are going to be longer than 12 months, there's going to be a midpoint implementation. And the idea behind that is to kind of get a better understanding of when those assets are gained. So we have a benchmark at the beginning, we have a midpoint, and then we have a final amount, and to see where that growth takes place. The instructions for that are administering it around the 1-year anniversary. I'm not going to be too much of a stickler as far as getting it on the date, but probably within a week, one way or the other would be the best. And then just a reminder that middle implementation is only necessary if the match goes longer than 12 months. So I'm in the process of reaching out to the Search Institute to get a link for that, and I will modify the ID convention so that we have a letter, probably C or something else creative, that identifies those matches that are going to be longer than 12 months. Yes, we can look at the dates, but we'll modify the code for the ID convention as well. So post-mentoring DAP implementation, all mentees complete the post-mentoring DAP, administer that at the second to last meeting, and I will be sending that link out to everybody around June, because I think that's when the first DAP was implemented, so that people can have that available to them in case that their matches end in 12 months. If you need it sooner due to abrupt closure, please let me know. We do want to capture that information as well to see it if there was harm done in the relationship or anything like that. Any questions about that? Okay. So like I said, I'm going to modify this and send that out to you. If you need anything from me, please let me know. Specifically related to the OJJDP website, to the programmatic report forms, to the ID conventions. I know that a couple of people have slipped up, but then other people have just neglected it altogether. So the more that we can fix things ahead of time, the easier for everybody as well. Little update, and I think actually I have a poll for this, but I'm not sure. So for those folks that have sent in the stories, I appreciate it. For those who feel like they don't have a match story that's worthy of sharing, I guess the response to that has been people have been able to send in stories about the mentor, the mentee, and their motivation or anticipation about being in a match or being a part of the mentoring program. So I would encourage you to reach out to those folks and give them an opportunity to share their story in that regard. We can use that information for the mentoring month as well as far as recruiting new volunteers or recruiting mentees. And so I would encourage you to to be creative in who tells the story. So we have a poll, and just for a general idea, nothing specific, just going to ask if folks are planning to do anything for National Mentoring Month. This could be telling a story, this could be writing a congressperson, this could be a specific recruitment activity, this could be volunteer recognition. So just wanted to see where folks are at as far as how they're going to participate or if they're going to do anything special for National Mentoring Month. I know that somebody recently contacted me asking, I think they were going to try to get a proclamation from the mayor or something. So give folks about 10 more seconds to weigh in as to whether or not they're going to do anything during National Mentoring Month.
Two mentors that I do want to recognize. We were just going to have a get-together for the mentors and things, but it would probably be a good idea to also have a meeting.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think it's scheduled. Let me look when it's scheduled.
Yeah, that's okay.
For the 11th of January.
Sure, great. If you want to share that, we can definitely use that as well. So it looks like 85%, so that's good. Happy to see that. For those folks that are on social media, the stories that you all have been sending me are going to be hashtag with mentor, just because that seems to be the most popular hashtag on Twitter, and then CCUSA Mentors, basically promoting the Catholic Charities mentoring program and letting folks know that this is something that Catholic Charities does. There has also been the start of a conversation about possibly having a mentoring article in Charities USA, which is the quarterly magazine. So we'll use some of this. I might reach out to you about some of the stories that you've sent me to see if it's appropriate to include them in that article if it does come to fruition. Funding, again, kind of to get to the, yes. Okay.
So we will have that article, I don't know when exactly it comes out, but we've already done that with the National Mentoring Month.
Oh, wonderful. Great job. Yeah, if you want to send that to me or send me a link, I'd love to promote it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Funding, again, trying to get more money in the hands of you all so that you can provide more matches to the at-risk youth. So ways that we're trying to do that is increase media attention, focusing around what makes the Catholic Charities National Mentoring Program unique, which is the case management aspect. And so really trying to tell the story of the referrals. Again, not only sharing the media that folks have gotten on the discussion list, but also if folks have targeted possible funding opportunities. And so this is one that was sent to us. So just to take a look on your end and see if it's appropriate for the work that you're doing. We haven't vetted it yet, but it has come through, so I just wanted to pass it on to you so you can do your own vetting and something to look into. Just a reminder, we have monthly conference calls. If you don't have that schedule, let me know and I'm happy to send it to you. Basically, the way that we started is have an agency open up the call with a 3-minute highlight of what's going on and what's working. And then there's an ongoing list of topics that folks are struggling with. So if you have anything, please let me know, and I can add it to the list so that make sure that it's a topic that gets breached in our conversation. One last question before we wrap things up. There's a call tomorrow that's scheduled for 2 o'clock. And so I just kind of want to take a poll to see if people want to participate in the call. I know that people's time is precious, and so I wanted to make sure that it's something that people would benefit from. So
I don't know if the information that we shared during that call would be any different than what we're talking about today, Matthew. This is Kent. I don't know. I think with this, and then we also have an interagency call here tomorrow, but we probably are okay not to do the call this time.
sure, yeah.
I second that. This is Anita.
Hi, Anita. Yeah, I mean the call is basically for those who want it. It's not mandatory, so don't feel like you have to attend. So this is just for me an idea of how many people would want to have it, and then that will ultimately determine whether it takes place or not. So.
Matthew, this is Kristen with West Virginia, and we feel like we're okay and don't need it, but I'm so impressed that you put there on the we have nothing conference call. Thank you for the irony.
Well, you know, sometimes you can't repeat yourself enough, I guess.
No, I'm not sure where we clicked or whatever, but I'm meeting with students at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. No, don't worry about it. Okay, so looks like there are some folks that would benefit from it. So I'll look at those numbers and contact those folks and probably host it just because there is that desire. So there's that information below about how to participate in those calls. Any questions? Okay. One last poll, just because they're fun and I like them. Just wanted to get a general idea of how people are feeling, not specific to the reporting that's coming up, but just in general about the program.
This is Kent, Idaho. I'm feeling encouraged because I met with two congregations recently, and it looks like there's going to be a good source of NTs coming into our program.
Great.
We currently have 4 NTs.
Good. Great news, Kent. Happy to hear it. Okay, well, that's good. There's over 80%, 85% of folks feel like they're on the right track. So happy to hear that. If you have any questions, let me know. If your report does not align with the details on the webinar, please ask me to send you the template, and I'll pass it your way. Merry Christmas to everybody, and I'll speak to you soon.
Happy holidays, Matthew.